How you guys doing? Uh, is the video and the audio okay? Oh, okie doke. Today, or this afternoon, I guess, what I'd like to talk about is the whole issue of getting your watch serviced or overhauled. And let me start off with a couple watches that I have. Uh, this one's been serviced and overhauled, and this one hasn't yet, but they both have a story about them. Um, it- this one I've had, and I got a really good buy on it. I had to negotiate with a guy. It took me almost a year to buy this one, and it's a Parmigiani Culpa XL Grande, so forth. And it was anyway, I got a really good buy on it, and I had it for a couple of years, and it always sort of ran slow and, but it was an okay watch. I always liked it. And then one day uh, the the winder, the crown and the stock came out, and so I had to have it uh, had some work done on it. And it cost me about a third of what I paid for the watch, okay? Came back, I sent it to the, Parmigiani place, and, it was like I said, it cost me about a third of what I had paid for the watch, not what it was worth, but it was about 1,000 bucks, for it, and it came back like a new watch, and that's sort of like, okay, so what? That's part of service and so forth. All right, so that's what I like to talk about. Should you get it serviced? This is another one. Um, the this is a H. Moser Henry double hairspring, and I was told that the double hairspring is was more complex than a tourbillon. It doesn't look it. I mean, it just looks like a regular, regular, uh, I guess, balance and so forth to it. But I asked the CEO of, Edward Mayen, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure about how to pronounce the last name. But I said, "Are you guys? I know you haven't made these for a few years, but are you still going to? I mean, if it needs service or when it needs service, am I going to be able to get it at H. Mosey?" He said, "Yeah, sure. Just send it in. I'm going to have to send it to their place in Switzerland to get it done. But to me, it was worth it because it's a good watch. And one of the things I had both of my FP Journe service too, and they were not inexpensive. And I knew that going in, I knew it when I bought it. And so I think one of the things that people worry about, well, should I get it or not get it? Because of the service involved in it, or how much service it says 5 years or 2 years, and so forth. I really don't know. When you rotate them, you're only using them like, oh, maybe let's say you rotate 7 watches a week, so that's 1/7 of the time that you'd use them on a normal. I mean, if you look at it that way. So that's what I want to talk about with you guys. I want to get your views on it. Let me welcome everyone. Tim Jr., Forbin Colossus, Joseph, Canadian Watch Monkey. How you doing? Big Sal, how are you? John and Rich. Hi, Rich. So how many of do any of you have any servicing stories that, like, you took a watch in, you got it serviced, and everything was fine, or something weird happened, or it cost you more or less than you thought, or you have watches and you figured, I'm not going to get them serviced until they drop dead, and then it's time to get them serviced. Hi, Nani Nuts. So what are your experiences? What are your expectations? Let me ask you this too. Wearing my uh, H. Moser Endeavor that I got a new strap for. Uh, that's my service. I'll get them a new strap. Um, what if you have them on a watch winder? A lot of people have said, that's not the best thing in the world. But I got a couple watches. My Seiko 5 is on a watch winder, and so is my Christian Vanderklaw um, Series 74. The reason I have the series on there is that I finally got the moon phase right, and so I'm leaving it there because I have to keep it wound to have the moon phase. Resetting the moon phase is a nightmare on that particular one. Uh, some of them it's pretty simple. You just have a little poker on it. This one has a moon phase on it, and I put it on full moon, and it's been there ever since I had it. Apparently, the watch works fine, but the moon phase doesn't seem to work. But that's okay because I'm not really into moon phases. But let's say that I say, well, I want this moon phase to work. I'm gonna take it in and have it serviced. I don't know who in the world would service this, to tell you the truth. I didn't get it for that. I got it for the movement, and the movement is a Jacquet 736, and God knows who knows how. I don't even know what the base of that is. The best guess right now is a Pazu 7001. So that's another issue for service. My 85-year-old a guy who um, does watchmaking by touch and sense of smell. Doesn't even use a time grapher. He does great work, but I took in one watch that stopped, and he said I can't get parts for it, so I'm sort of out of luck on that one. Okay, Canadian Watch Monkey. I had a vintage pocket watch repaired service. That was fun. I had to wait 2 months for the watchmaker to locate a jewel lock. Yeah, that would be sort of not unexpected. Um, mine, one of my watches, I think it was my FP Journe Resonance, chronometer Resonance, and I sent it to the Miami Service Center, and it was supposed to take a certain amount of time, and a hurricane hit hit Miami. Fortunately, at least for for my watch, it was just to the west of where the repair store was, and it missed it. But it had been where it had been predicted, it would have been bam right in the middle of it. Anyway, it took another month after because everything got thrown off by the hurricane. John, it's not the wear which justifies service, but rather lubricants gooping up. A chronograph costs more due to the amount of parts and dismount. Yeah, yeah. This is what I was thinking with a tourbillon or my double hairspring. I was told that only a few people knew how to do that, knew how to deal with a double hairspring, and that one of the reasons they quit producing it was because even though it works great for what they meant it for, the engineering behind it is fairly sophisticated. Hey, Big Sal. I had an old Breitling chronomat and had it serviced and at a local watchmaker. The crown was extremely tight when winding, and I gave up on after the third time. Ended up with Breitling Direct to get corrected. That'll work. Hey, Forbin, how you doing? When you service your car, you usually know the mechanic. When you send a watch off, you don't know who is doing that. Leap of faith. Yeah, actually, when when I take my there used to be a guy that I used for years when I lived in San Diego. There was this guy who I took it to. I knew the guy. He was great, and it can do that. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I just take it down to the dealership, and they take care of it, and I don't know who's working on it, to tell you the truth. With my watch, so this is with me, it's the opposite. My 85-year-old watchmaker, I got a problem. I always take it right to him. And on the other hand, when I sent it in, oh man, I tell you, if you have an FP Journe, send it into the FP Journe Service Center, which is also in Miami, and they have what they call a guardian angel, and I guess it's a she. It was in my case, and I'd met her, and indeed an angel. So and took good care of my watch for me. She took and both of them. They sort of watch over it. What they did was that as soon as they get it, they take photographs. I mean, really good photographs, and they send them to you to show you exactly what it looked like when they took the back off. And so you get a good look at it and make sure everything is, copacetic before they go to town on it. Then when they're finished with it, really works well. One of the things that you made a good point about, John, was the lubricants. And the modern lubricants, apparently, they work so much better than the old ones that tend to goop more. And the modern ones aren't supposed to do that, and so you can go longer without a service. So I've been told. When I was taking my watchmaking course with the Horological Society of New York, the guy was, I guess, there's number 104, and they had 104 uh, last month, and I missed it. But 104 is when they teach you how to do the lubrication. But one of the things they told us when we took the watch apart and put it back together, it is a very delicate little thing. And you just use you know, uh, I guess a certain size drop, not just a drop, but a certain size drop as a lubricant. One of the things I think that for servicing that I'd like to try is that ETA has these great servicing sheets, and so and sort of there's a picture of the movement and everything that needs lubricating, the type of lubricant it needs. They're fantastic, and I like to have that for every watch I have, but they're the only ones I have. Uh, Service for an AP Royal Oak model is 6,000 bucks. Oh my god, that's a lot. Yeah, I thought it was, a little hefty because it was getting up around 2, I think, for my, residence. I had heard that AP really charges a lot for service, but 6,000 bucks, my god, that's huge. Hey, Mark, how you doing, man? Um, okay, now there's some watches I have that I don't plan to get serviced. I mean, my Seiko 5 was 97 bucks. Love that little watch. Works great, but I couldn't afford it. I don't know where I'd send it, first of all, to get it serviced. I guess it's probably any Seiko dealer can handle it, but I don't even know if they'd want to. I don't even know if they provide Seiko 5 is one of those watches that would probably cost you more to have it serviced than simply get another one for 97 bucks or so. It's for me, it would be worth it. Some of these other ones, I got one that when I first got it, I had it serviced by a guy who was a watchmaker, and he retired shortly after he did the service. But after he serviced it, he sent it back to me. He said, "There's not a thing wrong with this watch. It works fine," and that was that. And it's a dual time, Zenith with, Zenith Elite, movement in it, and something happened to that watch. I didn't use it for one thing, and I never, I just sort of left it in the case and didn't pay any attention to it, and one day it just wouldn't work, and I couldn't get it to work. I took it to, like, my 85-year-old guy, he didn't know what to do with it, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with that one. Hey, Crappy, how you doing? Hey, traveling nomad, how are you? Still from the vodka land, huh? Hey, Deep, feels any fellas, any experience having an Explorer One service and a ballpark cost to do it? Um, I have no experience with that. I'm sure there are plenty of guys here who could give you some idea about it. I do have a friend though who's a certified Rolex service guy, and Rolex is very, very, very strict about who can do it, who gets the parts, and who has the right qualifications. That I know, but I couldn't tell you how much it costs. But I can tell you this, at least as far as I know, the people who are certified to service it can do a really good job. That's the best I can do for you, Deep. Okay, I've So far, the services that I've had done, um, my Zenith and my 2, FP Journes and my, Parmigiani, uh, they've all been great. I've come back with, everything is working fine. And so, there's something else too about a service, especially when you get a pre-owned watch. Now, this one had been pre-owned and I think heavily used. And like I said, when the stem fell out, I knew it was time for a service in it. But there's something else that's sort of like, I also had it overhauled. And I recommend this. If you have a watch, you use it a lot, have them overhaul it as well as a service. That's part of the service. Now, some services may include that. Uh, I know on my FP Journe, they said, "Well, we think it ought to have an overhaul," and I said, "Yeah, go ahead and do it." Same thing on this one. And the overhaul is what they do is they take out any bad or parts or things like that, and they give you new ones. And so that's another thing that was nice to have. They put in all new parts in it, in addition to all the lubrication and so forth that had to be done. Hey, beauty of scent. Just FYI, the rancher is fixing his tractor day, so he can't make it. He's got yeah. Yeah, he told me he's gonna have trouble making it this afternoon. He was, with us this morning. Yeah, he's busy on his tractor and rounding up his herd. Sam's Watch Repair in Chattanooga, Tennessee, best ETA and common repair shop in the country. Tim, one thing about ETA and, watchmakers who service ETAs. One, they really like ETAs, and I think one of the reasons for that is it's something that's very familiar with it. I mean, if you have a 2892 and you do those day in and day out, or one of the other ones, I think a 2824, one of those that is very common ETA that's used in a lot of different watches. You know the parts, you have a lot of experience with it. Uh, that is in reading some comments by watchmakers who do that, they love ETAs, and because simply is that they're used to working with them and so forth. Some of these other ones, I don't know, you know, you take a guy and say, "Here, fix up my tourbillon for me," and to me, that would be sort of a heavy thing, but I'll remember about Sam in Chattanooga. ETA has pretty detailed estimate sheet for almost any job. If you search net, you find it. Yeah, they're the ones too that have those great sheets that if you want to do it yourself, and you have some really good instruction on how to do the lubrication, and you've taken apart and put one back together a few times. It's certainly one I think would be sort of fun. I have some ones that have had a rough time, with my pretentious watchmaker work on them, and, so, yeah, it's something that they might wanna look into. By the way, too, somebody told me, or this has sort of been around as I don't know whether it's a rumor or a truth or whatever it is, but I was told that a lot of the, Seagull. These are Chinese movements that are modeled after the ETA 6498 and 97s, and other ETA ones are shipped without lubrication. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that was a big thing. This one guy had a big posting on it at one time, and so sort of like if you get one of those, you better lubricate it before you start using it any seriously amount. I don't know. Hey Lee, how you doing, man? The wind blew you off course. That'll happen. Uh, I'm trying to think what other ones would be. I don't know, like, sometimes I always get mad at watches that I buy that have, they're supposed to be in-house movements, and you find out that it's something less than that. It's an inexpensive. ETAs are good movements, but they're very inexpensive compared to, let's say, some in-house project that may go on. And it's simply cheaper, even if you have your own movement, to go ahead and, buy a bunch of ETAs, or it used to be anyway. Now you can do it with Solita. And so by putting them in there, they have done one thing, I think, save money. And as long as they tell the person who's buying their watch, like IWC or Breitling or one of those that have used other names, then it's something that I think uh, would be important to know about. By the way, I was working today on some stuff, and it has to do with service, I guess. Uh, are are any of you familiar with this at all? Does that look familiar to anyone? And I'll tell you why, because it's something that is in a very interesting watch. And talk about service. I mean, if somebody sees something like this, or there's a problem with it, you know, service of Chinese chronograph are more expensive than the watch itself, although it's a Venus-based movement. Well, John, yes, some of them are Venus-based movements. I think what is it? Their famous Air Force 1963 is a Venus-based one, and some of the others, but a lot of the more modern ones are simply their versions of different ETA movements. And but yeah, I would imagine that uh, some of the other ones are more expensive to have serviced. Hey, Big Sal, I will not send any of my pieces for service unless there's something wrong. I I tend to stay away from pieces with multiple complications now. Yeah, yeah. Um, yes, I know what you mean. I sort of go along with the same thing. Is that unless it needs service, I don't take it in. Joseph, yeah, it's actually called a Geneva stop movement, but you're right, same thing. I'm sure that's what you had in mind. Yeah, the reason I bring this up, I've been trying to understand it on a project on a video that I'm working on, and and it occurred to me is that this is not something that a lot of people may come across. I mean, as watchmakers, and so you say, "Here, I got this in my watch," and so could you fix it for me? And the answer may be one, where in the world are I going to get those parts? And two, what is in the first place? Yeah, it's a Maltese cross stop works, and sometimes they're different. It's also, well, from what I read anyway, they call it I was looking at some things in the George Daniels watchmaking, and they call it a Geneva stop work. And he compared it with the one Breguet used, and Breguet used a different kind of thing. And so, but the ones with the Maltese cross are typically the Maltese cross stopworks or Geneva stopworks, and then they have some other ones that are some other kind of thing. They have this other one that it looks like a totally different use of the Maltese cross and a movement. And I was one I think works with stopworks, and the other one works, and I'm not sure how or what with. Hey, Pat Fitzsimmons Rozak, I bought an RD Easy Diver. Oh, I love those. I have one. And the full band was still a little small. Yeah, that's the same here. I found a solution which is an Apple Watch connector or link, and it works and looks like a charm. Pat, that is important information to know because I've got exactly that same exact watch. Love the watch, great movement, great watch to have, and the band is just a little tight. But, so I'm gonna find out, which is an Apple Watch connector or link, and it works and looks like man, I tell you, That sounds good to know. This is something else, and this may sound weird, but there are some like Pat's example that you can fix yourself. I mean, you have to be innovative sometimes, but you don't have to be clunky about it. The my This is about my level is putting on a new strap. So hey, my old strap, and so I can put on a new one. That's not rocket science. When I used to have a Rolls Royce, the what is it called? The auto drive, or the put it on, when you put it on cruise control, you put it on cruise control. The stupid cruise control kept popping out on me and stopping, and I'd take it up to the guys who had fixed Rolls Royces, and cost me an arm and a leg every time he popped the hood. And so finally one day I had a bunch of service done on it, and the thing had there was something wrong with the cruise control. So he took and he fixed it, and took him 2 minutes to do it, and showed me how to do it. And I would go down to Ace Hardware and get one of those beaded chains and use things they use for flushing toilets and stuff. And so whenever my cruise control went out whack, I put one of those on it. And I think it's sort of the whole idea of thinking, well, maybe there's some other way that I can fix it. I could work with a toothpick and a regulator and set the time, but those kinds of things are sort of fun to do, but I wouldn't do it on an expensive watch. Oh, or you can send a picture. Pat, um, High Horology Lounge is the best place. That's our Facebook page. This I would really, really like to see. Just put it there. Either that, or you can email it to me. Let me give you my email address. The thing about that, there it is, Pat. You shoot me a picture there. The thing about that one is that the on the I bought a strap that was supposed to go with a rubber strap that was supposed to go with the Easy Diver, and apparently there are a lot of different versions, and the version that I got, of course, didn't work. And I tried to cut it up and do other things with it, and I finally gave up. But yeah, so something like that is good to know. Hi, Hamid. I arrived late, but greetings from Tehran. Hamid, I tell you, what you need, Hamid, is a good watch. You can get with us on time. Um, let's see. What are some other things? Anybody have an experience? I got this from a guy, by the way, too. There was a guy that I knew who had an FP Journe, and I think it was a perpetual calendar. Okay. And there was sort of this little group of FP Journe owners, and they were chatting back and forth. It wasn't very big. And this guy was telling me, because I had asked him, I'd just gotten my watches, and he told me, he said, "Well, um, I sent mine in, and they send you these wonderful boxes for shipping watches back and forth. Um, on when you get it back. Also, too, for those of you who have FP Journes, if you send it into the service center, you also get a free strap, and those straps are, they hit you up for about $400 or $500 per strap. So that's one of the service perks that you get from it. Um, anyway, uh, those the this guy sent his watches into FP Journe, and he sent them back. Still had a problem with it, and so even some of the very best watchmakers and watch companies, they can have some. I hate to call them lemons, but I guess I don't know what else to call them. Either that, or they have certain models that have persistent problems. And this guy was telling me they never did fix um, his watch right. So I don't know. Hi, Lunchbox. How's the Kano DIY project coming? Lunchbox, I'm not the only guy in the world to work on that. I'm sort of looking at maybe after June. This current project I'm on right now is probably take at least to June, maybe July or August. But I'm trying to get that in gear first before I do anything else. What do I think about Konstantin Chaikin watches? Uh, the Joker and some of the other ones that he has, most of those have the same movement, and there's sort of the same, I don't know, mechanism that does different things with the eyes and so forth. I think it's a very, very clever thing, but and his watches, from everything I understand, are really well done. But I don't know to what extent the movement that he has in them is sort of like a one-trick pony with the googly eyes in different versions. And the movement, I'm not sure what the movement is underneath. But overall, I think his stuff is very interesting, and he's certainly good. He's part of the AHCI, so not a guy to sneeze at. And I would love to have one of his watches, but I can't afford them. Uh, hey, Rohit, how you doing? Hey, Mark. Hi, Mark, you finally made it. Hey, Daniel. Philippe, yeah, this guy, the guy in Berlin, yeah, he has really beautiful pieces, but you're right, they're all uh 6497s right now. Hey, Tuna, how you doing? Okay, guys, listen, I'm afraid we're out of time. Um, I only get a half an hour for this, but um, thank you all for coming, sharing your knowledge too. And so until next time, take care, stay safe, and talk to you later.